Alright, I'm finally here with the much anticipated DVD review for The Undertaker The Streak DVD. As y'all know, I was able to obtain this DVD last week, 2 weeks early before it came out because it comes out this Tuesday. I was able to get my hands on it, and I finally just watched it now because, to be honest, I really wasn't really looking forward to watching the documentary portion. I just wanted it to have all the WrestleMania matches because I don't have the anthologies, I don't have all the WrestleManias. I only have about 10 of them, so I really wanted to have all the matches that he had at Mania, so that was the main reason why I got this. But I ended up watching it, and actually, the documentary wasn't even that bad. But I'll get to that in a minute. But DVD here, you have a very, very cool thing here, because look at this. Look how awesome this thing is. Come on, you bastard. Thing slips on. Look how cool that is. I got a whole little thing in there. And it makes it even cooler that, like, if you would took it off the back way, you would have had him right there, then would have showed him like a picture of him right there. I mean, that just looks cool. And back here, you got some reading. Sorry about that. Got some reading. It says, "Walk the dark and hollowed path of who he cannot be buried." You know what the fuck that word is. It's on his T-shirt. I can't fucking pronounce that word. I'm not that smart. The Warrior. I'll just say that. You know what that word is. You can probably pronounce it. I can't. I don't have that big of an IQ, as you can tell. Warrior has been denied salvation of 20 souls to forge an eternity streak. The dynasty of the dead man becomes immortal. And Undertaker, the streak. Hear the tales of Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Batista, Big Show, Randy Orton, and other victims who have dared to stare across the ring into the cold eyes of the Phenom. From Undertaker's WrestleMania VII debut versus Jimmy Superfly Snuka to his agonizing war with Triple H and fuck, I can't say that word. I know how to pronounce it. Illustrious, there we go. Opponents in between. Very chilling encounters is presented here from bell to bell for this set. I see Bark right there. Undertaker right there, just tongue sticking out. It's actually on a WWE magazine. I don't know which one it's on, but someone put it on Twitter. I saw a picture of it. Inside, nothing special. Just have the chapters of the documentary. The beginning, Dark Days, Badass, Dead Man Returns, Championship Level, Streak vs. Career, End of an Era, and The Streak. And here you have all his WrestleMania opponents. WrestleMania 7, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. WrestleMania 8, Jake the Snake Roberts. WrestleMania 9, Giant Gonzalez. WrestleMania 11, King Kong Bundy. WrestleMania 12, Diesel. WrestleMania 13, Psycho Sid. WrestleMania 14, Kane. WrestleMania 15, Big Boss Man. WrestleMania 17, Triple H. WrestleMania 18, Ric Flair. WrestleMania 19, Big Show and A-Train. WrestleMania 20, Kane. WrestleMania 21, Randy Orton. WrestleMania 22, Mark Henry. WrestleMania 23, Batista. WrestleMania 24, Edge. WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 26, Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 27, Triple H, not Shawn Michaels. And WrestleMania 28, Triple H. I think I botched the ending of that, but I don't care. Inside, pretty cool disc. You know, disc 1. Not the same disc, but they just put the numbers. Behind there, you got Triple H, Giant Gonzalez. Not Triple H, Undertaker, what the hell. Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez, him, Ball Bear, wait, right there. And Diesel. Behind this too, you have Psycho Sid and Undertaker. Undertaker. You have the cell right there. Triple H. Undertaker getting a leg drop to Kane. You can barely see him right there. And you have the American Badass gimmick right there, which is probably the best Undertaker of all time in my opinion. This one, you got him and A-Train, aka Tensai right now. Undertaker again. Him in his Mania 20 entrance. Him with, I think maybe Randy Orton, not sure. You got another picture of him right there. And you have behind disc 4, you have another picture of him, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H from WrestleMania 28 this year. Him pinning Shawn Michaels at 25, him and Shawn Michaels for 26, and you just have the WrestleMania 28 stage right there. Alright, so that's the disc, that's the artwork and everything. Now, overall for the DVD, the documentary wasn't that great. I mean, it was only 37 minutes, so you're not guaranteed anything great from that at all. But for the 37 minutes it wasn't really a documentary in my eyes. It was more of like a history lesson for people who don't know a lot about the streak. So it was a really nice history lesson in my eyes. I mean, they probably went about a minute for each opponent he had. You know, they went over, the beginning of the documentary, They talked about, streaks in not just wrestling but in sports in general. Like how the Boston Celtics had 8 straight NBA championships and the Yankees had 5 straight World Series wins. It was just, going over streaks and how big they were, and that no streak in sports entertainment came close to Undertaker's. They talked about how Undertaker became WrestleMania basically. WrestleMania basically became Undertaker's show, where he always outshined anyone, or he was the main focus of every WrestleMania there was. They talked about his opponents, like I said. They talked about Jake the Snake Roberts, how the streak began there. No, wait, not Jake the Snake. I mean, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Sorry. Talk about how the streak started there, and Superfly Jimmy Snuka was actually, he wanted to face Undertaker. Was actually pretty happy that he was able to face him at his first WrestleMania. Then they talked about Jake the Snake Roberts right after that. Then they talked about Giant Gonzalez, how he was the first guy that Undertaker had to look up to face because he was so big. Then they talked about King Kong Bundy, how DiBiase brought him in. Well, he didn't bring him in, but he wanted King Kong Bundy to eliminate the Undertaker because DiBiase brought Undertaker in. Then Undertaker became like a threat, so DiBiase wanted to get rid of him, and so he had King Kong Bundy face him. Talked about his match with Diesel, how Kevin Nash did not like him with big men, but Undertaker was an exception because Undertaker just works so well in the ring. And then they talked about his match with Psycho Sid for the WWE Championship, which was Undertaker's first Mania title win. And that was like a huge thing for him. That was his biggest match of his career at the time. Then they talked about how Kane got brought in. Paul Bearer announced that Kane was alive. He didn't die with his parents in the fire at the house. And that Kane, blamed Undertaker for the firing and everything. And then they talked about the Hell in a Cell with Big Boss Man, where the Ministry of Darkness started around that time, and how that involved into the match. And then they talked about his match with Triple H, how the new century began, and Undertaker came in as a new character. He came in as the American Badass instead of the Dead Man like he was. Then they talked about the match with Ric Flair. How Undertaker handpicked Ric Flair to face at WrestleMania, and wanted to face Ric Flair basically of anyone. And Undertaker really enjoyed that. And Ric Flair thought Undertaker had a great match, but for Flair, he thought it was an okay match for Flair because Undertaker carried him the entire time, he thought. And, they talked about how the streak became part of WrestleMania. How the streak basically was one of the things everyone was looking forward to at WrestleMania every year, was to see who was going to challenge the streak that year because it was getting so big. And then they talked about the Mania 19 match with Big Show and A-Train, how it was supposed to be a tag team match with Undertaker and Nathan Jones versus A-Train and Big Show. Got turned into a handicap match when they took out Nathan Jones. And, yeah. Then talk about WrestleMania 20 with Kane, how Kane said that the Undertaker sold out and became one part of the fans with his American Badass gimmick. And how Undertaker returned at Mania 20 because Kane buried the Undertaker, I think, at No Mercy 2003. When he had the Buried Alive match with Vince McMahon, and Undertaker came back as a dead man again. And, yeah. Then talk about WrestleMania 21 with Randy Orton, how Randy Orton was in the prime of his career, and Randy Orton thought he would immortalize himself by defeating the Undertaker and ending the streak. And he said, well, that didn't turn out very well. Orton was pretty funny in that. Just like the sarcasm he was using for himself was pretty good. Then they talked about the casket match with Mark Henry, how it was his very first casket match at WrestleMania. And Mark Henry talked a little bit, nothing really important there. He said it's like a huge match, part of his career. Then they talked about the world title match against Batista at Mania, how Batista said his only goal in that match was to steal the show. And he felt like he did, but in my opinion, John Cena and Shawn Michaels had a better match in WrestleMania 23, so sorry Batista about that. But it was still a damn good match, and he said he was very proud of that match. Then he talked about the match with Edge for the world title. Edge said that was the biggest match of his career, he thought. Nothing like facing the Undertaker at WrestleMania. And then at this time, facing Undertaker at WrestleMania was everyone's goal. You could risk anything, and especially when it came to Shawn Michaels. He talked about how Shawn Michaels was Mr. WrestleMania, and he won in the streak, but Shawn Michaels came up close. And then how Shawn Michaels, at 26, put his career up because that's how bad people want to end the streak. They're willing to put championships, their career, they're willing to put anything up to face Undertaker at WrestleMania and end the streak to immortalize himself forever, but they just kept failing. And then, after the match of 26, they talked about how Shawn Michaels not Shawn Michaels, Triple H wanted to avenge Shawn Michaels at 27 and defeat the Undertaker in his own match, or his own show, and end the streak, but Triple H came up short. And they talked about how Undertaker was embarrassed that he couldn't walk out of the stadium on his own 2 feet that night, and how the end of an era, Hell in a Cell, came apart at 28. And he basically wanted closure with Triple H, and he got it. And then after that, just the main question at the end of the documentary was, will the streak ever end? They always talk about how streaks always end in sports, like basketball, football, baseball, any kind of sports. Streaks always end, but the question was if Undertaker's streak will ever end. Will it be forever, or will it come to an end at one point in the future? But as of right now, the streak will remain 20-0. And that's basically the documentary right there. Like I said, 37 minutes. They basically went over every Mania opponent for about a minute. Maybe even short, maybe even longer sometimes, depending on what opponent it was, if it was important or not. But it was a nice little history lesson for the documentary. I'd recommend this DVD if you don't have the anthologies or the Manias. This is mainly just a get for the Mania matches, in my opinion. So that's our review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you guys for watching. DVD comes out Tuesday. Like I said, I'd get it if you want the Mania matches, or if you want to, have a little history lesson if you don't know too much about the streak. But besides that, thank you for watching, and I'm out, guys. Thanks.